I've been reading the Quran for the first time, and while I've been documenting this, I feel as though I've given off an air to people that I know a lot more than I do. And really, I'm very ignorant to a lot of it. And I thought I would make this video asking all the questions and all the things I just don't know, because I think that's really important. I think when it comes to the internet and having these discussions, it's very easy to want to be an expert in these things, or that you know what you're talking about. And ultimately, I don't know what I'm talking about half the time. Here are some questions I have on Islam, and hopefully they will be answered for me in the comments. And if you have no idea, like me, we can all learn together. So let's start off. The Kaaba. I don't really know what this is. I know it's a black box. I don't know its importance. I think when Muslims pray to Mecca, they pray towards the Kaaba. I don't know what it signifies. I also don't know why Muslims walk around in a circle, and do you have to wear, forgive the phrasing, like the togas? I see the men like wearing like togas. Do you have to wear those to walk around? What are you doing when you walk around? I have no idea. Also, is that part of Hajj? Is that part of Umrah? What's the difference between Umrah and Hajj? I'm not entirely sure. People talk about going on Umrah, and then Hajj is like a very different thing. But to me, it sounds like the exact same thing. Secondly, I don't know the difference between the Sunnah and Hadith. Are they the same? Is the Hadith the writing, and the Sunnah's the words from the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him? Is it the other way round? Am I completely wrong? I feel as though I'm completely wrong. Can you ignore the Hadith? Can you just live your life to the Quran? Is that allowed? Do you just have like Quranists who just like reject the sayings and the teachings of the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, and solely refer to the Quran? I also don't know the difference between Sufi and Sunni. I feel as though it has something to do with the bloodline of the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, but I'm not entirely sure why the bloodline is important. I'm not entirely sure, because the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, he's not like the Messiah, so it's not about, there's like a holy like bloodline through. Oh, I know Jesus didn't have kids, or maybe, I mean, Dan Brown believed so. The Holy Grail is you. I really want like 2 hours of my life back watching that film. While I understand that the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, was the messenger of God, he was ultimately a human, so I'm not entirely sure why the bloodline matters. He does. Maybe it'll be explained as I keep reading the Quran. Who knows? Maybe I'm just wrong, and all the Muslims are like, where is this guy getting this stuff from? But this is why this conversation's important. I get a lot of stuff from media, from social media posts, I got like a very warped perception about Islam, and then the Muslims that I've met have never been what has been purported online. And that disconnect is why I'm so intrigued and fascinated and really want to understand Islam, because there's such a clear split, and I need to wrap my head around it. Here's some other questions that I feel as though a 3-year-old Muslim could tell me. What do you do in a mosque? And what's a masjid? Are they the same thing? Or is like a mosque is to church as a masjid is to Eucharist? Well, I don't know. I also don't know what an imam is, a sheikh, and a mufti. But I'm only saying that because I quite like Mufti Menk. I've come across Mufti Menk. I feel as though Mufti's a title, but that could just be his name. His name just could be Mufti, and I've gone, that sounds like a title. I don't know what the difference between those terms are, and I don't know what makes someone an imam and what makes someone a sheikh. I feel as though imams lead people in prayer. They're like the priest. Aware that the Quran is written in Arabic, but there seems to be a default to referring to the Arabic. Is that because the word of Allah... I should clarify that I've moved away from asking 3-year-old Muslims now. I need to speak to the adults for this one. Is the word of Allah cemented within the Arabic in a way that it is untranslatable, that even if you are to get a perfect translation into English, that would some way be a corruption? Is Arabic deemed as the only language of Allah? I'm aware that I'm getting quite philosophical within that nature, but go with me on that one. Let's leave the philosophical and let's move to the theological. Do Muslims believe in Jesus' story in the New Testament, but just don't believe that he's the Messiah? So everything else happened, but that he is the Son of God. Additionally, Muslims, whose name do you follow with peace be upon him? I'm aware that you do it with the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, and with Jesus, peace be upon him. Didn't do it back 10 seconds ago. Let's not get there, forgive me. But who else do you do it? Is it all major prophets? Is it all major names within the Old and the New Testament that you follow that with? But also, you believe that the Old and New Testaments are corrupted. Does that mean they're not authentic? Do you not believe everything in those books? But let's end it on a hot button question, because really this is kind of what kicked off my wanting to understand Islam, and it was years ago, and that was the same year as the attacks on Charlie Hebdo. So this question is about the portrayal of the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. I'm aware that that's a no-go topic. You just don't do it. Now, I'm aware that people can do it, but you're playing with fire with that one. So to portray the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, is considered idolatrous. Is that correct? But equally, I am aware that during the time of the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, that there were depictions of him, that he was painted. So I'm aware that the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, has been depicted, but why was there a shift from depicting him to not depicting him? I'm very curious. I think that is something that a lot of Westerners know that you don't do. I don't know if they feel... I feel as though it's got to do something with idolatry. Now, it could be in regards to the Abrahamic roots on which this religion is the last testament of. That in Judaism, you don't really have a lot of idols and worship. And then you have Christianity, where Jesus is an idol. Maybe Christians would argue that he's not an idol, but he is depicted. Is Islam in its refutation towards idolatry a response to Christian ideology? Are you allowed to depict Jesus, peace be upon him, in Islam? I just don't know. And I'm aware that I could Google all of this and I could do my own research, but I think that the point of this is to get across that maybe not that I'm ignorant, that I'm naive. I just don't know. I just don't know. I think it's important to let people know what you don't know as much as what you do know. And I think the don't know is more important sometimes than the do know. As soon as someone gives you that information, it is like a light bulb moment. I've had that throughout my life. I've asked a really stupid question, someone's answer it for me, and everything slots into place. It's been the same when I was in school, and I don't think it's going to fault me now.